The cafeteria of Nexus Academy fell silent as Vexthor's clawed hand wrapped around the small human's wrist. Zara Chen had been minding her own business, carrying her tray of synthesized proteins toward an empty table in the corner, where she usually sat alone. Being one of only 3 humans at the prestigious Intergalactic Academy came with its challenges, and she had learned early that keeping a low profile was the safest strategy. But Vexthor had other plans. The Krillian stood nearly 8 feet tall, his exoskeleton gleaming under the artificial lights. His species was known throughout the galaxy for their strength, their warrior culture, and their disdain for lesser species. For 3 cycles now he had made Zara's life miserable, tripping her in hallways, destroying her assignments, mocking her species' fragility at every opportunity. Today, he had decided to escalate. "Where do you think you're going, Softskin?" Vexthor's mandibles clicked with amusement as his grip tightened. The pain shot up Zara's arm, but she kept her face neutral. Around them, dozens of alien students watched, some with concern, most with morbid curiosity. "Let go, Vexthor," Zara said quietly, her voice steady despite the fear creeping up her spine. The Krillian laughed, a harsh chittering sound that echoed off the metal walls. "Or what, you'll bleed on me? Your kind shouldn't even be here. Humans are weak, pathetic creatures who got lucky with their little ships and their primitive technology." He yanked her closer, and Zara's tray clattered to the floor. The other students began backing away, creating a circle around them. No one would intervene. That was the unspoken rule. Disputes were to be settled between the individuals involved. "I'm warning you," Zara said, her dark eyes meeting his compound ones. "You have 10 seconds to let me go." Vexthor's laughter intensified. He had studied human physiology in xenobiology class. Their bones were fragile, their muscles weak by galactic standards, their skin laughably unprotected. What could this tiny creature possibly do to him? 10 seconds? He tightened his grip further, feeling the delicate bones in her wrist beginning to compress. "I'd like to see what you think you can." What happened next would be analyzed, discussed, and debated in Nexus Academy for years to come. Zara's free hand moved with startling speed, striking upward at a specific angle toward Vexthor's primary joint cluster. The Krillian had exactly 0.3 seconds to register confusion before her strike connected. His exoskeleton, evolved to withstand frontal assaults, offered virtually no protection from the lateral force applied at the junction point. The crack echoed through the cafeteria. Vexthor's grip went slack as his arm hung at an unnatural angle. But Zara wasn't finished. Using his moment of shock, she pivoted on her heel, dropped her center of gravity, something her low density bone structure actually facilitated, and executed a perfect judo throw that utilized Vexthor's own considerable mass against him. The giant Krillian crashed onto the metal floor with a sound like a shuttle collision. 3 seconds had elapsed before Vexthor could process what had happened. Zara had transitioned, her knee pressing against his thorax at the precise point where Krillian anatomy was vulnerable. Her forearm was across his throat, not the killing position, but close enough to send a very clear message. 5 seconds. "You made 3 mistakes," Zara said, her voice calm and conversational despite her elevated heart rate. The watching crowd was completely silent. "First, you assumed that because humans aren't naturally armored, we're defenseless. Second, you forgot that Earth is a high-gravity world. What feels normal to me would crush most species here. Your strength advantage isn't as big as you think." She pressed down slightly and Vexthor wheezed. 7 seconds. "Third, and most importantly, you forgot that humans are the only species in the known galaxy that developed hundreds of different combat systems before achieving spaceflight. We didn't have claws or venom or exoskeletons, so we learned to break joints, disrupt breathing, and exploit weak points. We became very, very good at it." 9 seconds. Zara released him and stood, brushing off her uniform. Vexthor remained on the ground, clutching his damaged arm, his compound eyes wide with something he'd never experienced before: fear of prey. 10 seconds, Zara announced to the room. She picked up her tray, collected the items that had fallen, and walked calmly to her corner table. 10 seconds exactly. Probably closer to 8 if she was being honest with herself. The cafeteria remained frozen for another moment before erupting in a cacophony of chirps, clicks, and vocalizations. Some students rushed to help Vexthor. Others pulled out their communication devices, no doubt spreading the story across the Academy network at quantum speeds. At the far end of the cafeteria, Professor Cathar, a Zenith instructor who had been observing the whole incident, made a note on his datapad. The administration would need to address this, of course, but he found himself feeling a distinct sense of satisfaction. The galaxy's species had much to learn about humanity, and perhaps this lesson was overdue. Zara ate her meal in peace, though she noticed that the tables around her corner were significantly more crowded than usual. Students who had never acknowledged her before now nodded respectfully as they passed. A few even attempted what they clearly thought were human smiles, with varying degrees of success. When the medical team finally arrived to transport Vexthor to the infirmary, he wouldn't meet Zara's eyes. The warrior species had learned what humanity had always known. Size and strength mattered, but technique, timing, and the willingness to act decisively mattered more. The next day, Zara found her corner table reserved with a small holographic sign. It read in multiple galactic languages, "Reserved for Chen." She smiled and sat down. Maybe Nexus Academy wouldn't be so bad after all. Word spread quickly through the galaxy's educational networks. Human students were small, yes. Fragile-looking, certainly. But they carried with them the legacy of a world that had made them fight for every advantage. And that, the galaxy was learning, made all the difference. End.